But that picture that they put out from
skinny.
the DR, he and Edwin Encarnacion, Albert did look extremely lean. Towards the end there, I know Albert, he always had some foot issues. And Albert was always a big-bodied guy. But towards the end, I mean, he's pushing, 42 years old? He had some bad weight there at the end. I know this is one picture. You can claim angles, and you could do the Instagram kind of how you're standing.
Yeah.
But Albert looked like he dropped 20, 25, 30 pounds. He looked really, really lean. I'm not saying that means he's going to all of a sudden be a great hitter. He's 42 years old. Your bat speed, it deteriorates as you get older. But I don't think that should shock us either, because this happens to a lot of athletes. Athletes don't like when the media brings this up, but it's true. When you don't have a contract anymore, there's a motivation there that is different, right? If you sign a 10-year deal, you're getting that money guaranteed. No matter what shape you sign up, no matter what shape you show up in spring training, you're getting that check. So if you're Albert and you want one more contract and you want 21 homers, does not surprise me. He's in really, really good shape.
Let me just say to Dave Zobrist, those 10-year contracts that we all requested, don't think that will happen with us, okay? Because we're more dedicated than that. Here's my take on Pujols. Could he be a valuable DH to hit against lefty pitching? Yes. And there's going to be milestones that people are going to love. And will most Cardinal fans appreciate seeing him back in a Cardinal uniform? Yes, right? And here's some other stuff on my own little world of talking to folks. When he was in town with the Dodgers, I talked to some of his teammates without microphones and cameras, and they said Pujols was great in the clubhouse. Like with his time helping young guys, they said you couldn't be a better teammate than Pujols was. So if there's any concerns that Pujols is going to come back and kind of be the superstar that's not really part of the team, it ain't going to be that way, okay, at least based on what he did. Now, if there are other options out there, does Albert want to come back to St. Louis if they are interested? And some of his teammates told me not to say that would impact his decision, but he was very upset and felt hurt that when he wanted out of Anaheim, the Cardinals were not in pursuit, when he felt he would have been a perfect fit. So I don't know if that stays with him. Maybe it's a non-issue. But whether or not he'll be good in the clubhouse, I think the answer is he'd be great in the clubhouse. I mean, think about that. You go to the Dodgers, right? And they got other stars and whatever, and he was great. And everybody loved him, and he was helping the young guys. And to have Pujols helping your young players, can there be better than that?
I agree with you, but I also think you could be putting a first-year manager in an awkward spot. If you have a legacy player, a surefire first-ballot Hall of Famer, and also a guy who, let's be real, he wants these 21 home runs to get to 700.
Yeah.
And so if Albert is not as deserving of an at-bat as, let's say, Juan Yepez, whatever it is, there will be pressure there. There could be pressure from Yachty. They're buddies. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
I do think you're putting a young manager in a spot to deal with, even though I think at this point in his career, Albert, he gets it, but that's a superstar, and that's a big-time ego. I think it also comes down to, what does Albert covet the most at this point in his career? If it is the storybook ending of riding off in the sunset with Yachty, Waino, on a good team, on a team that could win, and hitting 11 home runs and getting 250 at-bats. If the Cardinals want to make that happen, you could probably justify that with the marketing of this situation. But if Albert really cares about getting to 700, then the Rockies are probably the spot. If the Rockies are interested and you can go there,
Crush
not very
them balls.
good, they're trying to sell tickets,
Yeah.
and you can DH 150 times, I would think Albert can hit 21 homers in Colorado.
And from a marketing standpoint for the Cardinals, makes a ton of sense. But in terms of on-field, and again, he could be great. I think he's a driven guy, but he's also older. You don't know what injuries are, going to play into it. And not only would it be a tough call if he doesn't deserve those at-bats, but you're taking them away. They have other young guys that could fill that DH spot. I don't think they're going out and getting Schwarber. I think they might be interested in seeing incrementally how some of these young guys might respond, where You can give him at bats as a DH. You can move him into other spots. You have more flexibility with other potential DHs for the Cardinals. So it'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out.
And then on the pitching side, the two guys they pick up, I would think they're going to be done now on the pitching side. I would be surprised if they add. I was even surprised they added Wittgren after adding Verhagen, just because you wondered some of their young AAA type guys, if they wanted to give them more of an opportunity. Whereas now, if you're giving contracts to veterans, those guys are going to be amongst your 13 pitchers. And remember, now you have the rule of you have 13 pitchers. So there's not a ton of spots. You got 8 relievers. So start looking at the contracts of who's already there. You don't have a ton of spots for the young guys. But I know those moves weren't super sexy, and we were joking about it on Friday with who do you want the Cardinals to get, or who do you think they were going to get? And the names thrown out there were the Colin McHughs of the world, which that's Drew Verhagen. It's just a different name. It's a guy who can start but can give you length out of the bullpen, and you need guys like that. And if this man did figure something out in Japan, John Mozeliak has had really good success. Go back to what Sunwano, KK, Miles Michaelis. They even picked up another guy on a minor league deal, this Aaron Brooks coming over. So John Mozeliak is always looking at the Japanese league,
had good success,
the Korean league, and then Wittgren. You have a one-inning type reliever. You can never have too much pitching. The Cardinals last year saw that. They thought they were good. They thought they had depth. It never hurts to add a reliever on a 2-year deal, a 1-year deal. Even Verhagen's making 5.5. Whatever Wittgren's making, it's not that much. It's not a multi-year deal. It's not going to
hamstring
crush you. It's
so,
not Brett Cecil.
And like Michaelis has had some injury issues, right? There's no question about that. But they saw something. Remember when they signed him and everyone's like, "Oh, great, who's that?" They scouted him, and this guy's a major league pitcher. And if he's healthy, he's a good one. And it's not just KK and the final boss that was here and Eugene. Like, they've done a good job of scouting. So if they see value there probably is.
855-282-8255. Nate the Great, what's on your mind, buddy? What do you have to say about all this stuff? Huh? You got 5 radio shows you got to fill today.
The Pujols news is interesting. I mean, you
want him
back. Not really, because I'm more concerned that he's just a clog on the base path. And, I think we kind of just moved one of those on in the form of Matt Carpenter. And I want to see this team put the ball in play and run. And you got guys on this team, like you look at their overall team speed. I mean, you might have one of the fastest outfields in the league right now between O'Neill, Bader, and Carlson. You got Edman, obviously. Yeah, you got guys that can run. I want to see Sosa too. I mean, they could be exciting. And then if you get a guy in there like Pujols, who we don't really know what to expect, he's not scoring from second base. Is he going first to third? I don't know. But I don't know. There was a great article in the Post-Dispatch by Rick Hummel.
We couldn't get the paper this morning because the gas stations didn't have it.
The gas stations didn't have it. But he talks about how the game is back, but what version of the game is back, and are people still even interested in the game? They seem to be looking at their phones when they go to games. I thought it was a great article. But, yeah, I don't know. I mean, the Pujols thing would be interesting. I just don't know what to expect. And I still, as we talked about on Friday, they don't have enough pitching. And these guys, maybe you're shooting for fish in a barrel
Bullpen,
or something.
Starting.
You need a starter. You need a starting pitcher.
I think right now, and again, I thought they had enough last year, and they just chewed through pitcher after pitcher. I mean, they get Wade LeBlanc to help in the bullpen. Next thing you know, he's starting, and then they go and get Happ. And last year, you never have enough starting pitching. I just like the fact that the rotation seems set right now, and you have a lot of pieces that could be in the rotation, like a bunch of them. That's not even counting guys like Liberatore or something who you might get to look at. I mean, if they need that in the rotation. So I feel comfortable with their depth right now. But like I said, whenever you think you got enough depth, you don't. So you may be right.
Why did they not re-sign Luis Garcia?
He didn't want to pitch. They went after him. He wanted out. He wanted elsewhere. I don't know if he got a better deal. I know they were interested in bringing him back, but he flew the coop quickly.
That's too bad. I mean, he was one guy who would come in and just throw strikes, had a heavy fastball, and was useful. down the stretch.
That no one expected to see what they saw from that guy. Right? I mean, it came out of nowhere. You look at his numbers, and he totally I can't remember which pitch he went away from, but he reinvented himself. And I was not expecting to see the quality that we got with that guy. Yeah, he was great.
Especially early on, you're going to have these rotations because guys aren't going to get enough innings in spring training. You're going to start the season, and it's going to be like you're going to need all hands on deck to get you through the first 2 months of the year because guys are going to be pitching on limited warm-up.
Here's my question that I care about. I know you're a baseball guy, but you don't like a lot of things. Do you still love baseball?
Yeah, and as soon as I saw pictures of guys getting back on the field –
we want him to like things.
That's right.
Like animals and people.
What do you got?
Movies.
That's not going to happen.
Twitter. What do you got, Charlie?
I know people like to play the whole roster matrix puzzle, but I think your boy Klump said, who are the 8 relievers who make opening day roster? And the whole idea with the starter, where I like that in theory, but you have 5 guys that if they're healthy, you basically, because they're contracts, you have to allow them to start. They're just not going to bump any of those guys. They're not going to bump. Michaelis has a huge contract. You're not bumping Waino, Flaherty, Dakota Hudson, and you just signed Steven Matz to a pretty big contract. So that's why I like the Verhagen move, because if there's an injury, whether it's him, Zach Thompson, or Matthew Libator, but just go through their relievers real quick. This won't take too long. If you go Wittgren, Verhagen, Genesis Cabrera, Gio Gallegos, TJ McFarland, I think we'd all agree Alex Reyes is going to be on the roster, correct?
Yeah.
What about Helsley?
Well, so that's the 6, I think, that are almost guaranteed. Now, we're assuming health. So you have 2 spots, in my opinion. And you have somebody like Helsley, you have Cody Whitley, you have Junior Fernandez. So throw out whoever. I mean, Johan Oviedo, if he's going to be a starter at AAA, will they look at him out of the pen? I don't know. I kind of like the idea, though, that it looks like there's about 2 spots open. And Helsley should have one of those spots if he can ever figure it out.
And he's healthy now. He got past. So that's – and let's be honest. I mean, it was a learning curve for him. Then he battled some injuries and COVID. He's never really gotten a long sniff when he's been 100%. But when we've seen him healthy, his stuff is really impressive. So I think he's one of those guys. I think they like Oviedo as a starter. He's not there yet, so I think he's probably not in the mix in the bullpen.
855-282-8255. We've got a bunch coming in here. Monty chimes in and goes, Charlie, the same thing happened when you get married and you get divorced. You want to, just like when your contracts shape up. Absolutely.
We see that a lot.
As you should.
Men and women.
Yeah, no doubt. Gino Ojic chimes in and goes, Albert batted .299 with 17 home runs and added 50 RBI in a little less than a half a season at bats with the Dodgers. He could still hit left-handed pitching.
But that's all he can do, all due respect.
We've stipulated that. And I believe he probably still can do it. Now, as you get older, you're more injury prone. Will he be able to stay on the field even in a limited role? And then in terms of flexibility, other players can give you more than that. Yeah. So maybe you want them on the roster. The plus for Pujols is he's Pujols.
Yeah.
We know from firsthand knowledge that he's good in the clubhouse, right? We know that. There's a lot of pluses that make him attractive. Is that enough to sway the Cardinals? I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, no, Albert Pujols against righties last year, that's where we all know he can hit lefties. But he also can't hit righties. When I say that, I'm not trying to be mean. Like, he can't. He is a below average, well below average major league hitter at this stage in his career against righties. Against righties last year, he batted 180.
Oh.
That's not even giving you a chance to compete, really.
That's why we didn't see him much against right-handed. It's not like the Dodgers weren't aware of that. They knew exactly what was going on.
Jack Clark couldn't run in the 80s either. You need a big bat to get these guys around the bases.
Well, they have some big bats, don't they? I mean,
that's the thing. Like, the offense should be fun to watch.
Right.
I don't think they're going to struggle to score runs. I just don't. I think this team's got enough pop. I mean,
who do you want to see as their DH?
Newt Barr, to be honest. At least early. I want to give Lars a chance. I thought he brought some good energy into that lineup. you talk about a likable guy. They all seem to kind of rally around him. The fans like chanting Newt.
I like his swing. I like his swing. Seth, who would you like to see as
What do you
the
think,
Cardinal
Seth?
DH?
He's thinking of Sierra right now.
Which one, with a C or an S?
With an S.
When do you guys think Gorman will be called up?
I think we're gonna see a lot at spring that will impact what happens. If there's enough of spring for them to get a handle on it. To me, I'd like to see him DH, get some work at second. We'll see how DeYoung. Like I said, I believe DeYoung will rebound. I believe they want him to, so they'll give him that opportunity. Sosa's good, but I also think if none of that pans out, you can take Edman, put him at short, and put Gorman at second. I don't know what the plan is.
The Cardinals also absolutely love Juan Yepez. They love this dude. And he had a really good season last year. In the minors, he hit last year 27 bombs across AA, AAA, and he slugged 586. And he is a DH type. He doesn't really have a position where you love it there. And that's where, like, if you ask me right now, who's going to have better numbers if they got the same amount of at-bats in 2022, Albert Pujols or Juan Yepez? It might be Juan Yepez. Honestly.
That is a hot take.
Well, no, but I mean,
I don't think he's wrong.
He's one. That's what I mean. Like, trust me, if there was a chance to get Schwarber, I'd be like, do it. I don't think it's realistic. But I honestly, we've heard about Yepez. We've heard about Gorman. The DH with a team that seems to be stacked offensively from what we saw in the second half. If those outfielders continue to hit like we saw, which I think most people think we will continue to see that, then they should be good offensively. Perfect opportunity to see what a Gorman, Yepez, or, Newbar, see what they have in that. And then if it doesn't work, then you go out and you make a move.
It has been this organization has not typically brought a guy like Gorman up in this spot before. And I think we're starting to see that change in Major League Baseball, whether it's Fernando Tatis Jr. and how the guys are like, to hell with that. Yeah. You're not sending him to AAA. He's coming with us. What'd they do? They had a pretty good year. Ronald Acuna, like, the organizations are now bringing these guys up, and maybe the Cardinals need to do that with Gorman.
636. Go ahead, Jimmy.
And to me, like, I get you don't want to start guys' clocks.
Why not?
And all that, but they have, like, a very definite need, which is a brand new thing for the National League, right?
Yep.
So the way they've handled things in the past, I think, are a little different this season because everyone has a DH, which is an offensive player. What are the Cardinals going to do? And they have these options in front of them. So I think it's a different landscape for them.
And Arenado and Goldschmidt are not getting any younger. So start the clock and get somebody who could be that big of an impact with those guys right now. National League Central is pretty open.
636 chimes in and goes, agreed with needing a starter. Mo relies too much on what's and ifs instead of proven known solutions.
So who are you going to sit, though? Like, I get it. If there's an injury in the next 2 weeks, I get it. But by signing a starter, are you saying Miles Michaelis, even though you've been banged up, we're paying you what, $16 million a year?
He's going to get hurt at some point. He'll get hurt.
Well, I agree with you. But I just don't think you can sign a starter that's going to come here and say, I need to start. That's why you can dislike the move, but the Verhagen type, in my opinion, was the move because that man coming over from Japan wants to be back in the big leagues, and he'll take a bullpen role, but he can start. I don't think you're going to have any legit starter who's going to want to come to the Cardinals and say, hey, you can compete for a spot. If there's an injury, it's yours, but you're probably going to be in the bullpen.
And it's not like the Cardinals don't have young guys who we've seen in the starting rotation kind of feeling their way through, or other guys that we wanted to see get a taste. And then let's not leave out the fact, like, Alex Reyes has starter stuff. The Cardinals talk about him and Hicks working out with starters. Those guys are also potential options should someone in the rotation get hurt. That's why, again, I never say we've got enough depth because you never know if the team has enough depth in the starting just when you think they do. But it seems like they do have options if a couple guys get hurt. Options that I would be comfortable with.
Couple more here from the text line 855-282-8255, and then we'll hit a break here. Gino chimes back in and goes, "There's not one player on the Cardinals roster that's going to bat .299 against right-handers or left-handers."
Carlson could.
Kilsick says, "Young stud Jordan Walker."
He's pretty young though.
Yeah,
Maybe the end of the year.
He needs more seasoning.
Yepez, by the way, hits righties really well. He hits righties and lefties. Now there's more power against righties. He has way more plate appearances this past year, but that's where Albert at this point is a one-trick pony, only against lefties.
Yeah,
Walker might have more upside than any player in the system right now.
Oh, no doubt.
But he's not ready yet.
Yeah, I know.
Somebody chimed in and goes, "Carlos Martinez finally gone. Thank God."
Well, the Giants signed him to a deal it's laden with incentives, and it's a minor league deal that if he makes the big league club, I think he gets 1.5, and it could escalate with all the incentives in there. But that's kind of what he needed, right? I mean, an incentive-based contract.
Absolutely.
And this guy, I think he's a good kid. I know he's had a lot of issues. I know he does stuff. He doesn't show up sometimes on time. I mean, I think, and I was surprised that they weren't able to put him on the right track. But now it's like, you got 12 Lamborghinis. You got to pay for these things.
Yeah.
Now you got to be a big boy if you want the money to pay for those things. And his talent, we both agree. In terms of stuff, he's got really good stuff. He's a major league pitcher. We've seen that.
Yeah. What's funny to me, too, is, so by the way, when I say this, in no way, shape, or form did I want or think the Cardinals should ever bring back Carlos Martinez. But it's funny because that type of pitcher who can be a starter or a reliever is the type of pitcher the Cardinals are now interested in. Yeah. I mean, in a way, so the Giants are banking on a guy coming off injury and figuring it out. The Cardinals with Verhagen are banking on a guy who went to Japan, hopefully figured it out, and can come back and be that swing guy. So in a weird way, the Cardinals were searching for a Carlos Martinez type in the sense of a swing guy. Can give you innings, and you're also you're banking on upside. You're banking on a guy who his value has never been lower, right? And that's what the Giants are doing. Like, It would not surprise me if this contract, Carlos Martinez is in the same spot. He had a big-time contract, right? He made good money for about 5 years. And then he entered an off season where he doesn't have a job. That motivates you to get in shape,
Yeah, it does.
to basically do things right off the field, to get your arm. That was another thing with Carlos. We know in terms of rehabbing his arm, in terms of the strengthening and what the Cardinals wanted him to do in terms of lifting weights, he didn't always do that. The Cardinals were not happy with that. If I'm Carlos Martinez, nothing motivates you more than not having a deal. So it would not surprise me.
When you have 12 Lamborghinis.
Right.
You have to,
it wouldn't surprise me if
but
he's
Builds that up, man.
Here's the other thing, too, with Carlos. Like, he was a starter, didn't love the bullpen, did it, but he would not be happy being a guy who's your middle innings guy, right? I mean, he wanted to be closer or at least high leverage at the end of the games. I think if the Cardinals brought him back, and I'm not saying that was your point, a guy like that, and you're like, hey, you're going to be the middle innings guy, it wouldn't have worked out. I think it's a change of scenery is better for him.
Yeah, and I haven't looked at the Giants' rotation. I don't know that he has he's got a minor league deal. Right. So maybe he figures it out. But I think at this point in his career, if he has to take a multi-inning reliever role